Hi everyone, let's start with another new session, that is the print function. Over here we are going to get into a print function in depth. So let's get started. Since video 2 of this series, you have been using print in every single program we have written. And every time you asked it the same way, one value inside the parenthesis. That's done. But print is a lot more powerful than that one pattern suggests. In this video, we are going to go deep on print. That is, that is how to pass multiple values at once. How to pass multiple values at once. How to control what goes between them through sep parameter, and how to control what gets printed at the very end of each line. That is the end parameter. And a parameter called flush that controls exactly when Python actually sends output to your screen. So, by the end of this video, print won't feel like a black box anymore. So, let's get into it. Okay, s- let's start with multiple arguments first. The multiple arguments. So far, you have probably always written one value inside the parenthesis, but print can actually take as many values as you want, separated by commas. If you check over here, let's see exactly what that looks like by doing some practical work. Now, suppose there is a first underscore name Alex, last underscore name Carter, age is equal to 25, print, yeah, first name, mm, last name, age. Now let's print. So here I got Alex Carter 25. All three values printed on one line. When you pass multiple arguments to the print, here I pass multiple arguments. So when you pass multiple arguments to print, it automatically puts a space between each one over here. That's the default behavior. You didn't have to add any spaces yourself. Now let's try a few more combinations to make this concrete. Suppose print name, first name, last name, print age, age, print full info, first name, last name is age years old. So we got name Alex Carter, age 25, full info over here. Alex Carter is 25 years old. Each comma separated value over here, each comma separated value gets printed on the same line with a space between them automatically. Now, this automatic space between arguments is controlled by a parameter called sep, which is exactly what we are going to look at next. The sep parameter. So, as we have just seen, that when you pass multiple arguments to print, Python automatically puts a space between them. That space is the default value of a parameter called sep. Sep means shorter for separator. Sep means sep means shorter for separator. Okay. So, moreover, moreover, it lets you control exactly what character or text goes between your values. Let's see that in action. Suppose print Alex Carter and age is 25. If I print it, I get Alex Carter 25. Now this is a default behavior. Spaces between everything. Now let's override sep. I take this again, or moreover, I'll do it over here. Easier. Sep. Mm, wait. Yeah. Yeah. That's fine. Okay. That's totally fine. Now, the values are separated by a hyphen instead of a space. Okay. Let's try a few more examples to make the pattern uh, more clear. Suppose I have a print statement over here, and suppose I want date 2026 07, that's July, 01 Sep. Okay, then comes print. This time again Alex, but this time I won't take hyphen. I'll use comma. Now 1, 2, 3 Sep. This this pipe. Let's run this. So we have got a date format, a comma space between a name, a date format, a comma space between a name, and a pipe separator for a table style layout over here. Now, SEP gives you total control over what goes between values. And here's a useful trick. You can set SEP to an empty string, literally two quotes with nothing between them, which means no separator at all, values joined directly. Let's take this one, Alex Carter, over here, this, see, they have joined. No space, no separator, values merged directly. This is handy when you want to combine pieces of text precisely without adding any extra character between them. Okay. Okay. Now let's discuss about another one, that is the end parameter. Now this end parameter. Okay. And so every time you call print, Python automatically moves to a new line when it's done. That's why each print statement produces its own separate line of output. Now, that automatic new line at the end is controlled by a parameter called end. Uh, do you remember backslash n? That's a new line character. That's a new line character. So by default, end is set to slash n. Okay, and that's the new line character. Let me show you that. Suppose print loading, print loading. Let's do one more. Okay, let's run this. Now three separate lines because the default end is a new line character after each line. Okay, do you understand what I mean? Now these are three separate lines. The default end is a new line character after each one. Let me show you again. Let's override this. Come over here and we type end equals, do exactly the same for this and this, and then we have print done. Okay, so now all three loading outputs appear on the same line, separated by spaces, followed by done, because we replace the new line with a space. So this is a new line, okay, by default. You don't need to write backslash n over here. Let's try other values for end. Suppose print step 1 and print step 2 and print step 3, and then I type print complete. So a progress indicator. This is a progress indicator all on one line. Step 1, step 2, step 3, and then complete. You can also use an empty string for end to remove the new line entirely, which is particularly useful when you're building output piece by piece across multiple print calls. Let me give you an example for this one. Suppose print hello and print world. So hello world. Wait. Yeah, that's fine now. So hello world, two separate print calls, but output on one single line because the first one had no new line at the end. You can also combine sep and end in the same call, and they're completely independent of each other. Let's try with another example. Sep and end parameters together. Suppose print John Smith, sep end slash in. Now let's see what happens. John Smith, custom separator and custom ending in one line. Okay. Now let's discuss about something very important that is called flush parameter. Flush parameter. This one is a bit more advanced than sep and end, but important to understand because it explains something that Python does behind the scenes every time you run a program. When your program calls print, the text doesn't always appear on your screen instantly. You know why? Because because Python Python collects output first collects output in something called buffer. What is a buffer? This is a temporary holding area in memory and then sends it to the screen all at once all at once when the buffer is full or when the program ends. I repeat, Python first collects the output in something called buffer. Okay, now what is a buffer? This is a temporary holding area in memory and then sends it to the screen all at once when this buffer is full or when the program ends. Okay, so most of the time you never notice this because programs run fast and it doesn't matter. But sometimes it does matter. For example, if you are printing a live progress update that needs to appear on screen right now, not when the buffer decides to flush itself. So that's what the flush parameter is for. Okay, that's what is this for. Let me show you. Okay, yeah. So let's do some practical work over here. Okay, so that you understand what is flush. Suppose import time print starting task flush equals true. Time to sleep is 2 and print task completed flush equals true. Now let's see what happens over here. Now notice the starting task over here that appears on screen immediately. Then there is a 2-second pause and then task complete appears. Now this was flush is equal to true. What if you have without flush is equal to true? Then Python might hold starting task in the buffer and print both lines together when the program ends, which defeats the whole purpose. Let's make this even more visible with a countdown. Import time again for I in range 0 -1 print I print string count down flush equals true. Time dot sleep is 1 second. Print you have go. Okay, let's see. Now check this. Count on 5, count on 4, count on 3, count on 2, count on 1. So each countdown number appears live, 1 per second, because flush is equal to true. So, so question comes. Question comes. When when do you actually need flush? In real time progress indicators, okay? Let's take an example of ChatGPT. You've seen that how it types real time progress indicators. Then loading bars, or you can say any situation and or any situation where your program has a delay and you want output to appear before the delay ends, before the delay ends, rather than all at once afterward. Okay. Now, if you have this, what do you say? Flush is equal to false. Okay. This is default. This is default. So you only need to set it, that is to true, when timing matters. Okay. So let's bring everything together in one example now. Okay. So a single print, a custom sep, okay, and a custom end, okay, custom end. These all together, these all together produce a clean formatted output line. Let me show you over here. Suppose we have product is equal to laptop, okay, price is 999.99, stock is equal to suppose 45, and then print f wait, product uh, product f dollar f dollar price f stock units sep and then end equals slash, or you can say okay, slash n. I'm not able to figure out one something. Anyways, let's check what it prints. Okay, this is wrong. Okay, so we have laptop, its price, and 45 units. Okay, let's remove this one. Yeah, 45 units. 45 units. Okay, so this is something all on one line, neatly formatted, using just a single print call. Using just a single print call. Okay, so let's lock in what we have learned today. Let's lock in what we have learned today. So we have over here print. We talked about print today, sep, end, and flush. Now, print can take multiple arguments. Okay, it can take multiple arguments separated by comma. It can take multiple, it can take multiple arguments separated by a comma, separated by commas, and it puts a space between them by default. Then comes sep. Sep controls what goes between those arguments. Change it to a hyphen, a slash, a pipe, an empty string, an empty string, depending on what you need. Okay. Then comes end. Now, end controls what gets added at the very end of each print line. Okay. Each print line. By default, it's a new line, but you can change it to a space, a custom character, or nothing at all. And flush. Last but not the least, flush controls when Python sends output to the screen. Set it to true when you need output to appear immediately, or rather than, waiting in a buffer. Okay, or rather than waiting in a buffer. So now your action step for this video, your action step for this video. I want you to write a program that prints a simple receipt of three items with their prices using sep to format each line neatly, and a final total line using end to add a custom ending character. So now, in the next video, we will be talking about taking user input with input, right? See you there. And till that time, keep watching my videos. If you have any questions, let me know that. And happy learning. Bye. Take care.